That's more than I got.
You did 2 shows today.
That's true. How do you know that?
I came in when when the last show was still on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Is that a terrible secret I shouldn't have divulged?
No, not at all.
They know about tape out there in television land.
I think by this time most people know.
I barely caught on to the idea myself. I still think everything is live. I wish it were.
Do you? Do you miss the...
Don't you?
Yeah, although I don't know if the audience is that aware. I mean, when you're sitting and watching the thing,
but when you bleep or bloop or whatever it is, every third word out of some of your guests, the audience must know something is happening. No censor could be that agile.
No, there is a thing, you know, that they use though on live television where they use like a 6-second tape delay or something, so that although it's live, it's a little bit on tape, and then they can push a button, and if you say...
It's like being a little pregnant, isn't it? How can you be a little bit on tape?
It's less serious. No, it's actually running through a tape machine, and if you were to say a dirty word now, I would have... well, don't try it. But I would have a chance to push the button, knowing that the sound would be erased a little ahead, and then play.
Where is that button?
That's
I see. This is the special. This is the special thing.
Yeah, they have done some shows like that.
Is that the principle of what happens when they run back certain plays in a game and show it to you?
Instant replay.
Instant replay.
I don't know.
Are we way out of our depth, both of us?
Your question.
Better get on to something else.
Your questions are good. The fact that I don't have the answers is the hard part. I like something you said one time. A lot of things you said, but I remember I found a quote in which you had said, "I like people to talk to me, but I hate it when they talk to Orson Welles." And I know what you mean by that. Because
sure.
People, I think I do anyway.
Sure, because they put, I don't mean just me, I'm sure you know what it is. If they talk to Dick Cavett, they put on that funny hat that goes with talking to Dick Cavett, and they aren't themselves.
Yeah.
You know, just because they've seen you on a screen, large or little, you have a kind of identity for them that makes them come on a little differently than themselves, and is kind of a drag.
Could you go easy on the large or little part?
I didn't mean that. I was talking about screen.
Oh, on the size of the screen.
Yes, and I don't like talk about wide screens myself. I think we can leave this whole territory undeveloped.
Yeah. Yes. I don't think what people look like has anything to do with what they are. Listen, I want to ask you about that piece of film that we saw. I know that you hate to have your films excerpted.
I was coyly turning my face to the wall all during it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I don't know why. Is it because it can't possibly tell any of the story and it just out of context it's a little...
No, it's because I can't possibly fix it. And I always see things wrong with it, and I'd rather look back on these films as being much better than they were.
That scene, for example, then, would you change anything about that now?
Well, I know what I'd change from listening to it, which is the awful soundtrack.
That may have been our projector.
No, it wasn't. It's Harry Cohn. Yeah? Because what happened was that after the my version of it, which got its one preview, Harry decided to fix the music, and he got a theme song, which we then had Rita sing. This was in the early days of theme songs. It's when people sang them on screen instead of having combinations dinted into your ears all through the story. Every once in a while somebody came on and said, well, since I'm waiting for the leading man, I think I'll sing a song. And they, and they sang a song. So we put that in, Please Don't Kiss Me or Love Me or something or other.
Yeah.
Not a bad song, really. And Peggy Lee was quite good in it, off scene, because she was Rita's voice for that. Although Rita sang quite a lot of her own songs in her own musicals, but at Harry Cohn's whim, Peggy Lee or somebody like that would be brought in to sing part of it. I never understood that anymore, and I understand instant replay. Mm-hmm. But the point that I'm laboring towards is that Harry Cohn decided that the theme song would be nice in a sort of symphonic version under the shootout in the mirror scene. So instead of just hearing the crash of glass echoing and nothing else except ricocheting bullets and glass, you have all through it, which kind of louses up the proceedings.
But it made him happy.
Yes, it made him happy.
Gee, he is one of the most interesting characters in filmdom because no one ever apologizes for saying a rotten thing about a man who is dead because they always refer to him as the unlamented Harry Cohn.
Well, I lament him.
Do you?
Yeah. I liked him. I really did because he was a monster.
Yeah.
But they all were, or almost all of them, those guys who ran their own stores in those old days of Hollywood. But he came on as a monster, and he could never be as bad as his first impression. So everything was a pleasant surprise after that. You know, he snarled at you as you came in the door, you know, "Rah," like that. Yeah. And you could gradually throw him little goodies, and he would quiet down and start lashing his tail. And I did get to be quite fond of him, in spite of the fact that he bugged my office. He really did. I think he bugged everybody's office, but one day I found a microphone behind a picture and discovered that this led up to Harry Cohn's own office so he could tune in. So those days I had a radio show, and I'd begin every day at the office. I'd say, well, good morning, everybody. This is Mercury Productions beginning another day's work. We hope you'll enjoy it. We'd play the theme and then go on in the office for his benefit. And then at the end of the day, I'd say, well, that winds up another day at the Mercury. Tune in tomorrow. But he was all right, you know. He was all right because he had tremendous courage.
How so?
Well, if he believed in something, he would go the distance, what gamblers describe as going the distance, which is a great quality in a showman. Yeah. And I was eternally grateful to him for what he did for me because I had a musical only a few doors away from here, Around the World in 80 Days. And I had to open in Boston. I had a lot of costumes waiting. Did I tell you this story?
No.
I had a lot of costumes waiting in the railway station, which couldn't go from the railway station to the theater, about 8 blocks away. This was in Boston where we were opening, unless somebody paid Brooks Costume Company $47,000. And we didn't have $47,000 because originally we had a producer called Mike Todd who had gone broke. And I had done that terrible scene in movies where he said, come on, kids, you know, George Murphy used to always do that, and Gene Kelly, people like that say, come on, kids, we'll get the show on anyway, you know, that terrible thing. Yeah. And I did that. I heard myself speaking these terrible, corny lines, and there I was stuck with $350,000 worth of show that I had to get on somehow. And a lot of things happened trying to get it on. Can I tell one story parenthetically before getting to that?
Sure.
The man who wrote the music was Cole Porter. And everybody said, don't have Cole Porter because he's written out, you see. And in fact, he'd written a couple of not very successful shows just before that. And I said, nobody with all that genius could possibly be written out. And I did the show with him, and he wrote a complete score, not one note of which was ever heard on radio or indeed on the lips of anybody wishing to whistle their way up the aisle out of the theater. And the next show he wrote was Kiss Me, Kate. So you see, I'd had a little bit of bad luck. And stuck in Boston with a musical without a single song and needing $47,000 before curtain time, I found myself in the box office trying to think of who could send me this money. And I thought Harry Cohn, who I hardly knew. And I called him up on the long-distance phone. I said, Harry Cohn, this is Orson Welles. I've just read a book, and I turned a paperback around, which the girl had in front of her was selling tickets, and I said, it's called something or other. It wasn't a lady from Shanghai then, just this. Yeah. Buy it, and I will make it for you if you'll send me $47,000 in 2 hours. And he did.
Gee.
And that's how the picture was made.
If no book had been lying there, it would have been no.
So he's lamented as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Dude, that's